Welcome to Fulham Fix. It is time for our interview with Bernd Leno. What's really nice, so obviously every season of this, we are going to throw in a smattering of current players. And of all the players currently at the squad, he's one of those ones you're like, yes, we need him. He's a fan favourite. People love him. He's arguably the best keeper we've had in the last 10 15 years. He's right up there, world class. And we thought, right, we need to get him on the pod without a doubt. And I tell you what, I mean, he didn't disappoint, right?
No, he's very humble and really lovely and sweet. And there's a lot of actually really interesting stuff we've unearthed, like sort of semi-accidentally, but I won't spoil for you, but sort of the modern discipline of being a goalkeeper, why he's a goalkeeper now, having that big club mentality, what Marco Silva's like. So it's just a really interesting chat. And like with him, like we say in the interview, I don't think we almost appreciated actually before we were preparing for this interview how many amazing saves he made in that brilliant year last season. So, like he probably saved us so many points.
You've mentioned a couple of times we might be relegated without him.
Which I'm saying sort of jokingly, but it's kind of he
unbelievable.
Does make some incredible saves, doesn't he?
Yeah. You know when you used to do it at the school, like when you were playing in school, and I don't know if you ever played in goal, but you'd always do that one dive, and as you did it, you'd say, "For the cameras, for match of the day," just knowing it's going to make the highlight reel. It was like a highlight reel of all that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see closely his lips. I don't think he was saying for the cameras
no.
or for match of the day at those points. But they were, absolutely unbelievable. What's also really nice as well is, especially when you come to Motspur Park, the training ground, often you've got to chase the players because there's a lot of distractions here. They'll go and have breakfast, they'll be chatting to their mates, whatever, getting ready to start training. And so you're often trying to track them down, someone's sent to get them. He was here early.
Yeah.
And they said he'll be here early. And he even said, he made a joke, he said German efficiency when he walked in, I'll be here early. And everyone said he will turn up early, you won't have to chase him. And that's super refreshing.
It is, yeah.
Like, that's just a really, he was here on time. He sat down. He wanted to be here. It was just lovely. That makes it sound like other players have not wanted to be here. They all have, but it was just really lovely, really refreshing.
And it just speaks to something that's great about him, isn't it? That he's just like very direct. It says out how he is, like like really respectful, and he embodies a lot of what is great about Fulham actually in his chat. So it's a nice sort of coincidence that he's ended up at Fulham Football Club. We should just get into it, shouldn't we?
Yeah, it's Bernd Leno.
Bernd, welcome to Fulham Fix.
Thank you.
How you doing?
All good.
Mate, I'm a musician, and there's an analogy in my head that I've had for a long time in bands, right? That drummers in bands are exactly the same as goalkeepers in football teams. So hear me out, right? A drummer in a band, they'll be doing everything right for the whole night. They make one tiny mistake, the whole band, everyone in the venue will turn around and look at them and be like, "You f***ed up," type thing. If they do everything perfect, nobody notices them, and bands are only as good as their drummer. Would you say that is the same relationship to a goalkeeper in a football team?
I think you can say the same, because as a keeper, you can have an unbelievable game. You can make 6-7 good saves, but if you make one mistake at the end and you lose the game, everyone is pointing at the keeper and say, "Oh, what is the keeper doing?"
Exactly.
And then in the evening, when you watch the highlights, you see probably 2-3 saves. And then they say, "Oh, that's his job." And then if you make a mistake, everyone is saying, "You lost because of the keeper."
Yes. It's quite psychologically demanding, isn't it, being a goalkeeper? Must be.
Yeah, of course. I think we've got probably the biggest responsibility on the pitch. So that's why it's more mentally demanding than physically, because after a game, I'm all right. But mentally, I feel very tired. The day after the game, you're always like a little bit empty and everything. A lot of people don't understand that. But mentally, it's quite demanding, because you have to be focused all the time. The ball is on the other side of the pitch. Sometimes for 4 or 5 minutes, there are set pieces and everything, and you're on the other side of the pitch, and no one is looking at you, and you have to be focused, and you have to prepare for a counter-attack.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit weird, but you have to always you have to prepare yourself for the worst case. how this player's losing ball, how that player's losing the
yeah.
ball and everything.
Yeah.
And everything. So
I don't think every keeper thinks this way.
That's
And
amazing.
I think that's why you're so good, is you are thinking that. Do you ever find yourself drifting in those moments? Because I know that I don't think I'd be able to keep my concentration in that way. I'd find if it was like 5-10 minutes up the other end, I'd be thinking about dinner, you know, like
looking in the stands.
Yeah, look at the stands, go, you know, I think I know that person. Yeah, do you ever find yourself drifting? I mean, how do you stay in the zone that long?
I have to say, in friendly games, it's much harder. But in like in a Premier League game and everything, you're in the tunnel, you're focused, you're on fire.
The adrenaline,
Everything from the crowd and all this stuff that makes it much easier. And now I'm already more than 12 years in professional football. You get used to it and you know what is your job, and so you have to be focused for 90 or now 100 minutes or whatever.
It's so interesting to say that it's mentally exhausting, because that element of being just switched on at all times, even when you're not prepared, is so tight. That's a skill in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as I said, there's a lot of experience for goalkeepers, because it's not only about quality or I don't know, something else. It's more about like about your mentality, how you're focused and all this stuff. How can you keep your emotions, especially end of the game? The crowd is coming, the pressure is coming from the team, so you have even more responsibility, because at the end you are like the last player who can defend the goal and everything. And it's also about decision makings, because if you're like too excited, you make bad decisions because you want to do everything too good. But sometimes it's just better to stay in goal and stay in your line. So it's not only about like just go and be crazy. Sometimes our job is be more calm, stay on the line, and rely on your defenders. And when the ball comes to you, then it's your time.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because you were second player of the season last year, which is no mean feat, given that Polina had like one of the best years any footballer in history at Fulham's had. But we watched your highlight reel this morning of your saves. It's like a 45-minute montage of like world-class Hollywood saves, which I actually hadn't remembered it that way. But there are so many reactionary, instinctive,
unbelievable
saves, like off the line, double save at Bournemouth, Jack Grealish, you tip it onto the bar, millions of them. Would you say that your role at Fulham now has been different, because there's a lot more shot stopping probably than you'd have in your past?
I think you're right. I think there were a lot of shots last season, but I have to say, like, my defense, or in general my team, they made it couple of times quite easy for me, because the angles were nice, the distances were nice, and everything. So I don't take all the credit for all the saves and all this stuff. I think it's also like good work between defenders and goalkeepers, because when the defender is 1v1 against you and there's no one around, it's much more difficult than when the defender is and he's disturbing him, he's pushing him or whatever. And so credit to my boys as well.
Yeah, but
you were. I think you are at top of the top 5 leagues across Europe. You are the top goals saved or goals stopped in those moments. Now, is that one of those stats that kind of sort of flatters to deceive in a little bit, because of the way you're set up, because of the defensive line in front of you, the shots are coming from a bit further out? Because a lot of people have said, even last season, they're saying, you know, with goals expected against us, we should have been a lot lower in the table.
I think the expected goals are probably better statistic than the shots, because if there's like a header comes, I don't know, with 10 miles an hour and you just catch the ball, that's also a save. But expected goals, that's what I said. It's like about the angle, about the distance, how big is the chance to score from there. And I saw that statistic as well after the season, and I'm really proud that I had one of the best, or what was it, top 5, top 10 or whatever, that I could help the team. And that's why the manager convinced me to come. And I'm happy that I could help the team.
There's so many saves. Sorry, Ivan, let's just quickly dive back into it. There's so many saves you make outstretched with one of your legs, or like really reactionary. Do you have? Do you make like instinctive? Do you train sort of your instincts? Because it feels like a lot of it, it's like really, there's not even time to think. It's like, you know what I mean? Do goalkeepers do things like that to tweak instinctive reaction?
I think there are many things. I think the goalkeeper position is quite complicated because, as I said, there's a lot of relationship with your defense or with your defenders. Which post or which side is he defending, and then I go to the other side, and all this stuff. And as I said, goalkeeper position is about a lot of experience. You can read the shots, you can read the players. In 1v1 situation, which side do you open a little bit more, or you just gamble, or I show him this side, but then I go the other side, and all this stuff. There's a lot of experience. Of course, the striker or like the taker, he has total control about the situation. But I think as I said, there's a lot of reading and experience.
It must feel so. I'm so jealous of that feeling because, like, for example, cricketers often say sometimes, like in a test match or whatever, they'll catch the ball for a second, and just for a split second, there's a moment when they know they've caught it and nobody else does, and you're waiting for like the roar of the crowd where you just know that you've done it. Do you have a similar feeling as a goalkeeper where you just know, like, I've got enough on it, but that's going to hit the bar? You know what I mean? It's like a private moment to yourself.
I think in that moment, or like usually as a keeper, you don't think too much, but sometimes you have like within 1 second, you have like 5 thinkings. You think like, now I get him, now I got the touch, now I destroy him or something, and like this, and then they are like so like within, as I said, within seconds you have so many thinkings and all this stuff, and sometimes the ball isn't goal, sometimes you make a save, and sometimes you think like, I could have done better or whatever, and I would love to show like what's going on in my brain, but unfortunately it's impossible.
That's so interesting though, because when you're watching a game of football, Ivan, as you know, when there's a one-on-one situation, it does feel like for a second that time slows down, like everything goes vroom, like the focus changes.
Everyone is holding their breath.
Yeah, and it's just down to you in that moment.
Yeah, I think the good thing is, as I said before, you're in a tunnel, you're on total focus, you're holding the breath as well. So that's a good thing. On the pitch, I don't feel so nervous, but off the pitch, I feel much more nervous because in the game, you're total under adrenaline, you're total focus and all this stuff. And and that's how you can perform on the top level.
Love that.
It's brilliant.
Talking of not being involved, the penalties last week.
Yeah, okay, so obviously when we're recording this, it comes just after a couple of days after knocking Spurs out of the Carabao Cup. You're on the bench for that one, and Marek Rodak was stepping up in that moment. A penalty shootout like that, what's going through your head? Are you like, oh, thank God I'm not on the pitch right now? Or are you the opposite of like, I'd love to be there, getting in their heads,
No, I prefer to be on the pitch all the time, but as I said before, off the pitch, when you watch and you have zero control, you are like a fan, you're just hoping and cross fingers or whatever. And but luckily the boys, they did brilliant. I think all of the penalties were top. Marek did a fantastic save as well. So I think also like in general, we were the better side. Yeah. We deserve to win, and we are through.
Without a doubt. It's not often as well you get to watch it as a spectator as well, as you're nearly 100% of the time you're on the pitch. Was that quite enjoyable for you watching from the side as well, getting a little bit of that moment as well?
I would say it was enjoyable because the boys were doing really, really well.
If we'd been 3-0 down, less so.
But it was a weird feeling because the last time I was on the bench was probably, I don't know, in January, FA Cup game, I think.
Oh, right, yeah.
Was it in Sunderland or?
Right.
I think it was in Sunderland.
That's right, yeah.
And that was a quite long time ago, so it was weird like to warm up because you prepare different and everything. But I enjoyed from the outside because, as I said, we were doing well.
Marco Silva has said, I think he said once or twice, that you're the best signing he's ever made, which is high praise given that he signed Richarlison, didn't he, back in the day and things like that, obviously for not much money. Do you get a sense that, because with this team, I feel like it's one of the greatest teams in modern history at Fulham, but also like there's this sense of like trying to achieve something that's never been achieved before, and I could sense with all the mentality of the players that we're quite used to being like we finished 7th or 8th, and that is an absolute result, and everyone like parties in the streets for 3 months until the next season starts type thing. But with Marco, it feels like he's not prepared to accept Fulham being second best ever, even if it's at Arsenal or Man United and that kind of thing. Is that a sense, because with players like you, who are obviously really big players, elite players, and it's bringing a different feeling to Craven Cottage?
Yeah, of course. I think from the very first day, I could feel that he's very demanding. He's pushing the club. He, as you said, he doesn't accept being second or being average or whatever. He knew the situation that the club or the team came from the championship, but he was demanding every game. We go to City, we play our game. We don't go and park the bus and hope or whatever. Of course, you have to suffer on Saturday again. You have to suffer in these type of games. But every training, he tries to get the maximum out of the team. And I think also the signings were like brilliant. The players he brought in, they were all pushing. They were all like very demanding and all this stuff. And you can see we are now like a proper Premier League team, in my opinion, because against all like my former teammates from Arsenal or from somewhere else, they always say like, you are tough to play because you play like a proper team. You are defensively strong. You play good in transition. You're good on set pieces, and everything. And you can fight for your points. And I think that's a very good quality from the team. And I think the gaffer he gets the maximum from the team.
Is there anything explicitly that said like, oh, we want to achieve this? Do you ever talk about winning a trophy or finishing top 6 or anything like that?
I think that's hard to say because the Premier League is the best league by far. It's very competitive and everything. Of course, when you reach in the Carabao Cup to the quarter or semi-final, like last season in the FA Cup, you think like, oh no, we go for the maximum. We try to win at United, go to the semi-final. Unfortunately, we lost because...
we didn't lose, we self-imploded.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
I feel like I'm sick.
Yeah, you're right, mate. So,
yeah.
It still hurts.
But now we've got the experience. So we could smell a little bit. The semi-final. We could smell Wembley, and this season we tried to do it better. Also in the league, I think we just missed the club record. I think by 2 points, or was it 1 point or 2 points?
Yeah.
And we want to do it better this season. And I think maybe the club, they bring some new players in and everything. Then we have like a good squad with competition. In every training, in every game, and then I'm pretty sure that with the experience we made last season, we can do better, even better than last season.
Yes.
We had a good result against Arsenal as well, going to their place. You know, a lot of people predict them to be up again, sort of, challenging for the title. We're able to go and outplay them for a lot of the time. What's your thoughts going back to Arsenal? Are there any feelings for you there, or not at all?
No, I had like 4 fantastic years there. Big club, good people there as well. I still have a lot of friends. I went last week to the dressing room, and I really like the people. But for me personally, it was the right time to move on, and Fulham was the right place for me. And I've been enjoying Fulham from the very first day.
It's like it's really exciting that you're with us because. For people our age that have watched Fulham teams, we had Van der Sar at one point, and that just felt like having a superhero from another universe, like in goal Sunday at Fulham. And then Mark Schwarzer was the other like high profile goalkeeper, but you'd be in that category. I think you're going to go down in history of Fulham as like one of those elite level goalkeepers.
Without a doubt, yeah.
That's so rare to see at the club. What's your relationship with those two? Did you ever watch them? Are you aware of them as goalkeepers?
Yeah, of course. When I was young, I watched both of them, especially Van der Sar when he was at United. He was probably one of the biggest goalkeepers at this time, because he was one of the keepers who started to play with the feet and play a little bit like the modern goalkeepers, like play more from the back, play a little bit more offensive, come out of the box and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, Schwarzer was the same as well, like the Europa League final and all this stuff. So big goalkeepers, and if you put me in the same category, it makes me really proud, and all this stuff, because all these boys are big boys.
And as Jeff mentioned to me earlier, sorry, Ivan, Schwarzer was at Fulham at 40 years old. So technically you could be playing for Fulham for another 10 years at least.
At least.
Hey, listen, this is where we bring out a contract. It's a sign. Listen, we've drafted up a new contract for you.
No, I still have a couple of years contract left and everything. I'm 31 years old. I still feel like 22.
We have a 9-year contract for you, just waiting to go. Yeah. How are you enjoying life at Fulham, though? I know that sounds like a silly question, but the fans have taken to you instantly, like which doesn't happen often. It happens with a small amount of players, maybe every season, but they've just taken to you. Are you enjoying life at Fulham?
No, I love it, 100%, because as you said, the fans they're very nice to me and everything straight away from the very first day, and also the team, the staff, the coaching staff, they're very nice to me because I came from a difficult time. I had no preseason at Arsenal, and I came here, and the gaffer put me straight in against Brentford. I think it was match day 3 when Mitro scored last minute, and of course we had the results from the beginning. I was performing straight away and all this stuff. So as I said before, I've been enjoying Fulham from the first day, and it was a perfect decision for me to come here.
Are you aware of your song that everyone sings?
Yeah.
Do you ever sing it to yourself when you're not playing football? Because I imagine people sing it to you so much that it must play in your head.
Would you like to, sorry, as the resident
not
musician,
really, no.
Would you like to just remind everyone listening of the song?
Bernd Leno in goal.
No, I really like the song. I really like the chant and everything. My 2 of my friends from Germany, they went to the Arsenal game, and they were in the Fulham blog.
Oh yeah.
And they had a couple of beers and all this stuff, and they took a lot of videos when they were like not in the stadium, but in front of the stadium, and they were singing the songs to the Arsenal fans and everything. And then when I got back home, they were still a little bit drunk, from all the beers, and they were singing all the time the song. They said like, "Oh, I love this song. Yes. It's unbelievable," and all this stuff. And then I said to my boys, let's have dinner and everything. Don't speak about football and all this stuff. But they kept singing the song because they love the song. So
it's a catchy song. Like you must find yourself humming it, like when you're at home. So doing your housework and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's just funny. I really love it because the fans, they're enjoying it and everything, and they can see that I'm enjoying the song. Also, like after the Everton game, they were singing the song, and when you do like a reaction to the fans, they realize that you're enjoying it as well. Football is also about enjoying. It's not only about work or money or whatever. It's also like passion and love and fun, and that's why we started all being in football.
That. Actually talking about that, why are you a goalkeeper? Were you natural at that when at a young age? What were the circumstances that made you become a goalkeeper?
No, I started as a midfielder, but like when you were like 7, 8 or something, sometimes you're in goal, sometimes you're a midfielder or whatever. And then we had a indoor tournament. In Germany, you play a lot of indoor tournaments because it's very cold. And then the goalkeeper, for some reason, he didn't appear and everything. And then the coach asked, who wants to be in goal? And then I said, I try. And then I was doing really well, blah, blah, blah. And then...
At what age is this?
That was, I don't know, 7 or 8.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And and then it was one of my friends, he was the goalkeeper, and I said to him, can we change position? I want to be in goal, blah, blah, blah. He said, yeah, you can be a little bit in goal. I go outside, blah, blah. And then my dad or my parents, they bought me gloves. And then I was at home diving around on the bed and all this stuff. My brother, he threw some balls, and I caught them on the bed and all this stuff. And since then, you couldn't get me out of goal. And then
again, that feels like a kind of serendipitous moment. That
totally.
kind of sliding door slide. Do you think if that kid had turned up when he was supposed to at 7, 8 years old,
Fulham would be relegated?
Would you? We will be Premier League.
We win the championship.
Do you think you'd be a keeper? Do you think you would have you would have got there another way?
I'm not sure. I think no one will find out because at this time I had no real passion for goalkeepers or whatever. It just came. It was just a coincidence.
So cool.
And everything. But since then I never regretted to go in goal or whatever. I've been enjoying it all the time. maybe I'm just different. Or they always say, or football players always say, goalkeepers are different. You are crazy. You jump into the ball and you get the ball into your face and everything. And but I prefer to get the ball into my face a couple of times a year instead of heading the ball every day.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's so interesting though, that what you're just saying, because for example, I spoke to Noel Gallagher last week, which was amazing. But he was saying that in his house when he grew up, Noel from Oasis, his there was just an unexplained guitar in the house that his dad never played. And if that had never been there, he would never have thought to play it. And that's sort of a similar thing with you. It's just sometimes there's this crazy coincidence in life. You find the thing you're really good at and run with it. And as you were saying that made me think of baseball players often say, like, when they got the mitt on, they felt like it was natural, like it was an extension of their hand. And then you with your gloves just felt like, I belong. You know what I mean? This is where I'm meant to be.
Yeah, and that was exactly the case, because when my dad bought me these gloves, I was at home. I slept with them and everything, and then it was like the perfect connection and everything. And then all the time when I went with my brother and my dad on the football pitch, I was in goal. My brother was 3 years older than me, and so it was very demanding. And as I said,
do you still have them now? Those original
Great
gloves?
question.
I always wonder.
The gloves from
what you were first given is for your parents.
He's still sleeping with them on.
No chance.
I didn't see it as him sleeping with them on, as in just on the pillow next to him.
Oh yeah. I mean, next to you, with them on. You were sleeping.
Yeah, with them on.
Oh, with them on. Okay.
My parents said take them off and everything,
like
and
teddy bear.
when they closed the door, I put them on again and slept with them.
So great. I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's really magical.
That is very cool.
So we often ask players who would play with them in their position. Obviously, you play in a solitary position, but in your history of all the players you played with, who are the best two centre backs? You don't have to say.
Doesn't have to necessarily be Fulham. Yeah.
Who are the best two centre backs you played in front of? This could be German national level, Leverkusen, Arsenal.
Yeah, there are some big boys for sure. There's Jerome Boateng. I played a couple of games in the national team with him, and probably Mats Hummels. Because at this time, I think they both played at Bayern Munich and at their prime. Yeah. And it was crazy. Yeah. You could feel straight away that they are different.
Really?
Different level. And at this stage, I was, I think, 22, 23, 24. And I had not too much experience on that level, and when I got the chance to play for Germany in that friendly game, you could feel they are leader, and the strikers were scared of them, their positioning and all the stuff. That was amazing.
Is it just their reading of the game? You can see.
Yeah, the reading of the game, of course, their quality with the ball as well. And their positioning, their timing to tackle and all the stuff. They didn't do stupid fouls, not necessary fouls and everything. They were just smart.
I love that.
It's great, isn't it? I love hearing that. How important as well is it for you to sort of stay established in the German squad? Obviously, we've got the Euros coming up again. You're well positioned, sort of Premier League, and like I said, you're at the top of some of these, tables that are across the 5 leagues. Is it very important to you to sort of keep your foot in the international door?
Yeah, of course. I think that's also one target for me to be in the squad for the Euros. But that's still far away, because I believe when you work hard every day, week in, week out, and perform, you get what you deserve. And that's why I focus on the next game, and when I'm in the German squad, then I focus on the German squad and all the stuff, because football is daily business. You can't think about what is next summer or what is in 2 years and everything. You have to focus on now, and that's how I prepare myself every day.
Is it slightly... is there a part of you that goes, I'm so annoyed that I'm German? I could have been... Because the problem you have is that, I think any other country, you would be number one choice. But you have 2 keepers... 2 other German keepers, Ter Stegen and Manuel Neuer, who are arguably as well 2 of some of the best keepers in the world. Is that like a constant frustration, or is it nice to be around that? Or if you're being honest with you, like, I wish I was like Italian. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's nice to be around with them because you train with or you compete with top goalkeepers. But of course, if I was, I don't know, I don't want to say any nationality.
Nah, go on, throw one out there.
If I'm from another country and everything, probably I would be the number one. But that's football. I said, I don't know, like a couple of years ago, I said maybe my parents, they had fun at the wrong time. If I was maybe 10 years younger or something, maybe I would have more chances because like this generation, we have unbelievable goalkeepers, but the new generation, there are not too many German goalkeepers at the moment.
Okay.
So probably that would be the better choice than other nationalities.
You're the youngest of the three, am I right?
I think Ter Stegen and myself, we are the same age.
Oh, are you?
Right. And Neuer, I think he's 37.
Yeah. No, he's only got a couple more years left. We'll get him out the picture.
We are goalkeepers. We are different, so we can play like Schwarzer or Buffon.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Buffon
played
until 43, 44, maybe 45.
Yeah, I think he might have done. He was at Chelsea. He was on the bench at Chelsea, wasn't he, at a really old age?
Schwarzer.
Oh, Schwarzer, sorry. Sorry. Who did you say?
Buffon.
Oh, Buffon. Yeah. He was, at the highest level as well.
Yeah, I think last 2 years he played in Parma or something.
Right, okay, yeah. Talking of young German keepers, Steven Bender's just signed for Fulham this morning, I think.
Yeah, officially.
Have you met him? Yeah. You met him, yeah?
Yeah, I just met him when I came to the dressing room. Felt already a little bit home because he's from the same hometown as me.
Yeah, I know, weird.
Yeah. But we've never met before because I think when I left Stuttgart when I was that was in 2011 when I was 19. So at this stage he was I think 12 or 13, but he wasn't at the club. So it's nice to have another German goalkeeper here, and he has to be quality.
Well, he openly sort of said that how much he looks up to you. You know, obviously from the same town, but also you're international as well, and such an incredible keeper. Is that quite a bizarre feeling for you to have that now? You're at a stage where you've got these other keepers coming in, these younger keepers who are looking up to you as a bit of an idol.
Sometimes it is.
Now you've got to share a dressing room with them.
Sometimes it is a bizarre feeling, but you get used to it because when you have also like young goalkeepers coming from the academy, they also ask, how do you do that? How do you do this? How do you feel about your feelings, about your experience and all this stuff? And I think it's nice. It makes me proud as well, like to help these young boys and everything, because when I was young, I was in the same position. When I was in Stuttgart in the academy and I trained with Jens Lehmann, and at this stage he was 40 years old, I was myself to speak to him because I was so nervous, and I just asked him questions and everything, and he just answered like normally, you can do this, you can do that, you will make mistakes, that's normal, you have to do mistakes to improve, and all this stuff. So I was in the same position. So I know how the boys feel and everything. So I try to help them as much as possible.
Mentioning Jens Lehmann, is there we've got to go in a second, but is there a definitive characteristic that all goalkeepers share? Like, are they all quite eccentric or sensitive? Is there a sort of personality trait that you found in goalkeepers that all goalkeepers have?
I think like this generation, like Lehmann, Oliver Kahn, like the German goalkeepers, they were like crazy. I would say like crazy, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I think now like the new generation is a little bit different. We are more calm. We are not kicking against the post, or we're not punching our players or whatever, or we don't bite our players or whatever. And I think we are more cool. We are more relaxed and everything. And I think teams, they prefer that. I think no defense prefer to have a keeper who's shouting all the time, who's like annoying, always screaming at you, screaming at players and all this stuff, or at the referee. Now I think you can't even look at the referee, you get a yellow card and all this stuff. So it changed a little bit, but at the end of the day, our job is to keep the ball out of the net, and that will always stay the same.
That's so interesting though, because when I was growing up, that used to be how people used to define a good goalkeeper or leader. You'd be screaming at people and just showing.
Joe Hart style, I think, like, he was a big screamer.
Yeah, exactly, and that Schmeichel, whatever, physically showing yourself. But that's so true. I haven't thought about that. But goalkeepers are much more sort of meditative now, aren't they? You're sort of you're like projecting calm across the team rather than the other way around.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Even Joe Hart, as you said, he was like screaming. He was a little bit crazy. I think now he's calm now.
Down now.
He's calm now because probably also like the manager changed. They said like, oh no, we want someone who's calm, who's like showing I'm calm, I'm relaxed, everything under control. Because when you go crazy, I have the feeling you make even the crowd nervous and all this stuff. So yeah, and it suits me as well as a person because I'm not like crazy. I'm not like very loud and all this stuff. So I can be myself on the pitch.
It'd be really interesting. I'd say we've got one last thing to ask you, and it's more just to. Sorry, I keep doing this. It's only because I can't see your face.
Yeah,
I'm like doing this around. What's been? It's been like I said, incredible signing. You said Marco Silva has often said one of the best signings he's ever made for such a bargain as well. And you were saying that you read a quote.
Yeah, saying that the price at Arsenal made you feel like a worse player than you were.
Is that a direct quote from yourself? It was just really interesting to get your thoughts.
So I have to say, like, I don't care about like the transfer fee or whatever. I think that was just the situation between the clubs. I think that's also part of the business because I went to Arsenal. I said to them, guys, I just want to go to Fulham. I spoke to the goalie coach. I spoke to Marco Silva. They convinced me I just want to go to Fulham. I want to stay in the Premier League. And as I said, I was convinced by the project. And so it was up to the clubs. And I think Fulham did a great job because they knew about the situation that I just want to come to Fulham. And because of the 1 year left, the position from Arsenal was not the best. That's why the price was so low. And but as I said, if it was 4 million or 20 million, that's not up to me and everything. I just wanted to come to Fulham, and here I am.
Yeah, lovely to hear that. But I think it will go down in history as arguably one of the best signings we made. The fact it was so, I mean, it's amongst fans, it's stuff of legend now. The fact that we were. And we often ridicule Arsenal fans for the fact that we basically robbed them.
Totally
unbelievable.
And I'm getting a sense now.
No, but I think Arsenal they did a great job as well because they said to me, okay, we do you the favor because there were other options. Probably they paid more money or something, but at the end it was my decision as well. And then they said like, okay, we let you go and everything because you did brilliant at Arsenal for 4 years.
Yeah.
And everything, and even in the difficult time, they said to me, "You behave well and everything." So I think it was good for all parties that the deal happened.
What an amazing set of circumstances! Like at 7-8, if that kid shows up and you don't go in goal, you don't sleep in your goalkeeper gloves, then if that doesn't happen at Arsenal, Fulham are significantly worse off, man.
But how many times is that in life?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
this is just
it's not
life,
only
isn't
football;
it?
it happens in life.
Exactly.
Imagine you didn't come to that party, then you didn't meet this person or something.
No, it's
Exactly.
very true.
Well, thank you on behalf of all Fulham fans
got
because
quite deep,
we
isn't
love
it?
you, man. That's such you've been a huge part of this.
I love
team.
you too. I love you too.
Come on,
Fulham.
Do you know what? I really love that. And one of the first things that was really interesting to me is that football, we've never done a goalkeeper on this show yet, have we?
No.
And I think obviously football is a team sport, but in some ways being a goalkeeper is an individual discipline. It is an individual discipline, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're almost like completely separated from it. So that psychology of you got the whole pack of players training and then you're doing something else was just really interesting to me. Like I always feel like goalkeepers have to do more thinking.
Yeah, without a doubt. I remember, was it Kearney I was chatting to? I think it might have been Kearney who said all goalkeepers are a bit weird because they're so isolated. They live in this kind of weird bubble, like you said.
Yeah.
But
maybe they're not. Maybe they just don't conform to the. Do you know what I mean? They're just not part of the pack and the sort of in jokes a little bit.
I thought it was really interesting what you said about them being the drummer of the band, and that made perfect sense. And I think there must be something because he mentioned sometimes feeling empty after a game because it's and I feel like especially now. Listen, we're very lucky. In touch with this remains. I don't want to jinx it. We've got a habit of jinxing things on this podcast. but he doesn't make many mistakes. Like he really doesn't. But I can imagine as a keeper coming back into a dressing room where you've had a team of 10 players in front of you that have fought to get a point or whatever.
Yeah.
And your one mistake has led to missing out on 3 points or whatever. I can imagine how isolating that must be. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah.
Like that drummer analogy, everything was perfect until you hit the snare wrong or drop your stick or whatever.
Which is so, to further that analogy, I always think as a guitarist, like you're a bit like a winger or something. Like you're making 145 mistakes in the game, but no one's really noticing because you're kind of like delivering it from a different perspective. So the unfairness of that, but then a drummer can make one tiny slip up and everyone sort of identifies it.
Another similarity, going with what Tom Kelly said about all keepers being a bit crazy and a bit off the planet. Arguably, all drummers. That's that kind of theory in music. Is all drummers are a bit crazy, and I wonder if that is anything to do with your analogy. Yeah, because you think of some of the legendary drummers; they're literally off the planet.
And I'm always thinking, is that something innate in them that made them be a drummer, or does the role of being a drummer,
the pressure,
pull that out of you the same way being a goalkeeper? But anyway, back to Leno. I feel like when we're talking to him, the thing that I sort of realised is what halcyon time it is for Fulham Football Club to have a player like him. Obviously, Willian, Pereira, all these suit-like greats playing at Fulham at the moment, but are sort of punched above that level. They would belong in top 4, top 6 Premier League sides without a question in the big clubs across Europe. So it's like there's a lot of gratitude on our part to have a goalkeeper like that at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, it's something I've said last season. I think I put him down. I think I put him down as our player of the season, or certainly it was in the top 3 for me. But this is what it's like to have a world-class keeper, and you realise, those top 4-6 teams that have those world-class keepers. You realise why they're world class and the fact they're able to save so many points, you know what I mean? And we have that, without a doubt. We have that. He's incredible, and the fact that we got him for 3. I mean, it's a funny. It's nothing really fully confirmed, but we got him for
around 3 mil or whatever.
3 or 4, whatever it ended up being. It is bizarre.
Yeah.
And it's just one wonderful guy to have at the club, and yeah, man, we're very lucky.
And finally, one for parents: if your child is showing an interest in goalkeeping and insisting on sleeping in their gloves, that should be encouraged.
Yeah.
Okay?
What he said, yeah.